Alright everybody, welcome to KARDS. In this game, I'm going to be facing a frontline buff deck with my own destroy, guard, discard deck. Let's see how it goes. This opponent has the beta card backs for his decks. That means he's been playing this game for a long time. This should be interesting. He's definitely been playing it longer than I have. As soon as I saw this card, and he claimed the front line, I immediately knew this was a frontline Russian buff deck. So the trick here is not to let the opponent develop any cards on the board no matter what, even if you have to sacrifice cards at a loss, like using a 1 value card for a 0 value card, or a 3 for a 1. Do whatever you can. I'm in a little bit of a pickle here because that card he just played that has Smokescreen, it buffs his units every single time. So what you need to do whenever you see a GER card, no matter what, that's usually the focus of their deck strategy. You have to destroy that. And unfortunately, I have nothing to counter it right now. So far, he's doing exactly what his deck needs to do, and I'm not doing what I need to do. I'm not guarding. I'm destroying a little bit, but I'm not discarding. Take out one of his rush units. That one had 0 credits, so you want to make sure he's spending credits. If he can operate his deck spending 0 credits, you're in a bad spot. That's what he done 6 damage to my HQ. This is bad for me. Plus, there's another Blitz unit on the way. I'm down to 11. If you think right now that I'm going to lose this game, I don't blame you for doing that. I Admiral Hipper his card back to his hand. It'll be back later to bite me, so that's not helping me too much, but at least it's giving me more time to figure something out. HQ is now down to 10 points, that's half. At least now I finally have a tactical strike and I can get rid of that GER card. And with an envelop, if he rushes into the front line again, that'll save me. And knowing his deck, he's probably going to rush right back into that front line. HQ is now down to 9, and he didn't rush down like I thought. I see here too, this deck has a lot of suppressed units. I think he's used to breaking through guards, which actually is a key aspect of my deck, so it's good I'm not playing so many guards because he'd be able to suppress and go right through it, and I'd have a false sense of security. So I actually lucked out on this deck not drawing any of my guard units. Trying to increase my card advantage and discard his cards, plus an envelop that will defend my HQ from the front line. He skips his turn, which is unusual. I decide to case Yellow's HQ to see what's in his hand. Another suppress plus envelopment means my front line is safe. My card advantage is growing on him now. Here comes another Blitz unit. That gets destroyed. That wasn't a good trade. But you see here, because his main strategy wasn't working, he surrendered and that ended the game. The funny thing is if he continued, he probably would have done well. I was running out of defense and destroy cards, but that's it. Because this game was so short, we're going to give you a bonus one. Now this one's going to be a long one. Buckle yourself in. I'm going to give you a 2 for 1 in this video episode. Same deck as before. Draw, guard, discard. I want to make sure I have cheap units there with my number 2 guard plus a 1. I had to swap most of that hand right there. I'm feeling pretty comfortable with this one though. I've got 1 destroy plus the guard. That can pretty much keep me safe until about round 4. Then it might get a little bit hairy as I go to the 5 credit points. A little slow out of the gate. He passes round 1 and passes it to me. I have no cards, so I need to pass right back to him. Artillery, that's unusual for a Japan deck, so that probably means he's going to be one of these artillery spam buff in the front line kind of decks, so I have to prepare for that. I only have the guard for now, but I know later I'm going to have to focus on those artillery pieces. There's a Blitz, that's fairly typical. I guess he figures that between the artillery and the mandatory damage to my HQ from his destruction effects, he'll be able to put a lot of pressure on my HQ, but thankfully in my hand right here, I have 2 guards that buff my HQ and give them more defense. He's guarding up. Triggered the destruction on my HQ. So I'm down to 18. And his artillery is pretty well guarded. My guard infantry in the front line there is not going to be able to do much to stop him. Nothing better to do, so I use that guard to attack his guard. Another Blitz, which means more damage to my HQ. That guard's gone. Because he's going to focus my HQ so much, it's a priority to get those guard buff cards out sooner rather than later. So that way it frees up credits later in the match that I can use to destroy his units. Now this is bad. Buffed infantry tank, plus another bomber on the way likely. He's definitely eager to break through that guard, I can tell from that move. HQ's back to 20, that's okay. Not sure I want to waste that, but I use it as Admiral Hipper. He's got to spend another 3 credits just to get that back. That'll slow down his advance. Better he spends time being forced to play that card again versus another artillery or a bomber or some other kind of rush infantry. Decides to play a bomber, plus that tank again. So I've limited his ability to develop his cards. Now I have a destroy through the breach, and I can use a tactical strike between the artillery or the tank, and going for the tank is probably the better of those 2 moves, plus I reclaim the front line. And now I have a massive card advantage. You can see he's down to 4, and I have 7 cards in my hand. So by now the match is swinging back in my favor because he's failed to break through the guards, he hasn't developed artillery or bombers, and he's starting to stall out. He's running out of cards. Now he's got a blitz tank and it's on my HQ, so by no means have I won yet, but it's getting better for me. Now I can throw down cheap guard, get through the destroy and discard his card. Which is good, because if I had played that cheap guard, he would have used that destroy card on it and broken right through and used that tank to attack me. So when in doubt, as long as you have a little bit of a buffer on your HQ, it's better to destroy and discard cards, rather than throw down guards, which they'll blow through and destroy. That's a Fury, that's a very dangerous card. Plus my guard is up, my HQ is much safer now. And he's down to 1 card. At this point, he's completely lost all the steam, and he has no momentum. I don't have any air units, so that fighter's gonna be very dangerous for me. And he's breaking through that weak guard. Still haven't won this game. Now, I could go for the Leopold, which I do, but the other option was to do those 2 commando units. Now he has to redevelop everything, and I've got a guard and a Leopold on the field. But however, playing that has reversed his card disadvantage. You know you've made a good move when they're taking a lot of time to decide what to do. Here comes more artillery and fighters. My fighter will take his artillery out, give me more time. Now that was a mistake. I should have moved his artillery back up. But I clear everything out except for his fighter. At this point, it's still anyone's game. Here comes that guard again. Plus that artillery we saw from the beginning of the game. And another guard. I think he's hunkering down and just trying to draw out the match. Hoping that I run out of guards. However, I've got another one coming through, plus more support to my HQ. And I will just start whittling down his guards and his long-range units. He's back to a card disadvantage. He only has 1 card. That was the best move he could make. Can't use my Leopold, which lets him develop more, and taking out my fighter. Move to the HQ might make a little sense, but I'm not realistically going to be going to the front line anyway. That card is devastating. I've completely removed his ability to draw new cards. And now with this commando, I can start throwing out my order units and doing a lot of damage very quickly. At this point, this card disadvantage he has is just totally insurmountable. The game is over at this point. So between my pointed retreats and destroys on his units, he never was able to develop the fighters and artillery that he wanted to. And because I pivoted my deck to artillery and fighters, the guards weren't giving him the defense he wanted. His deck was more structured for somebody taking the front line and defending against that versus my discard deck. And with the Leopold shot, this game is over. Subscribe for more.